Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, the voice of hardcore boxing. But then again, you already know that, don't you? 'Cause that's why you've tuned in. Today, I'm joined by my good friend Terry from London. But first things first, I want to thank everybody that pressed the join button below. To join our members area, you get an extra 10 videos a month for $5.99. Sadly, though, YouTube takes 30% of that. But we're plodding on and we put that into a production video end of month and sometimes two production videos if we get enough people joining. So thank you very much and thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. You are definitely hardcore when you leave a comment. How you doing, Terry?
All right, man. How are you? It's been
You like that one, didn't you?
yeah, I love that. Yeah, mate. It's been an interesting week in boxing. I'm now
Interesting week.
Mate, I'm glad that the British public now come round to my way of thinking about Billy Joe. Took a long time, but now everyone realizes it was the boxing equivalent of a Ponzi scheme. If you think about how many years you waited for Billy Joe to come good, and I remember saying to you, Russ, we've already seen the best of Billy Joe. Remember I said that to you? I said we'd already seen it.
Look what they said in the comments section. Terry, you hated on Billy Joe.
No, I'm not. I think the problem with me is I've been around this stuff too much, Russ. Right? So I know who really wants it and I know who doesn't. And you can just tell, right? Yeah. Bill had the performance against Lemieux. It was tailor-made for him, but he didn't capitalize at that point. That was when he should have gone for it. And he didn't. And the thing is, this sport will always punish you when you're not consistent. Always.
Do you feel, Terry, that Billy Joe not looking after himself between fights and Billy Joe moving up in weight and then Billy Joe, everybody gassing him up and it's being surrounded by yes men? You know, all these strength and condition men, nutrition men that are strutting about the hotel lobby in Dallas doing interviews and Billy Joe Sauna's trackies on, everybody thinking they're a superstar and that. All these people hanging out back of him. Do you feel that that's had an effect on him since he beat Andy Lee and that eventually it all caught up with him when he didn't want to make 160?
Right. But Joshua has a big entourage around him. And Joshua seems to find time to stay in the gym.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference for us. It's, if you think about it, Billy Joe's probably been better than his age group at boxing since he was 8 or 9 years old. He's probably been the best kid for a long, long time.
Do you know what you said? Let me just, sorry for butting in. You said a few months ago you need to look at his CV now. Billy Joe were red hot to win gold, wasn't he, in Beijing? Now, if you look at his CV, he got gold medals galore, innit? He won everything, didn't he? He did well everywhere, didn't he?
Well, look, he got to GB at 17/18.
Yeah.
He was the youngest in that squad by some distance. Yeah. But we've discussed it a lot, Russ. You know that 2008 squad was notorious for what it did outside the gym as well as what it did in the gym.
Yeah. Well, what about that chase they had? Frankie Gavin and Billy Joe, they took a police chase, didn't they, through Attercliffe? They taught copper to F off, didn't they? in England tops. Can you imagine Billy Joe, wheelman?
But mate, but you see, we laugh, but that's the whole point. When you start to see things like that, you're like, this kid's going to be a problem. And I always contrast it with Joshua because Joshua came to the sport late. And he came, after, he says it was a hard life, whatever. But he came after being a young man, causing a bit of trouble here and there. But he knew that he had a one chance to make a bucket load of cash. And he's never let go of that opportunity. And for me, they're the boxers I respect. The guys who realize when you've got that talent, you can leave the game with 30, 40 million clean and then go on and live your life any way that you want. Billy Joe always treated boxing like it was something he could come back to whenever. But you can't do that. Like what's the age difference between him and Canelo? Probably a year. Yeah. Probably Bill's a year older. Right? When do you see Canelo out the gym? When do you see Canelo, messing around in a yellow Lamborghini or telling crackheads to slap people? You don't see Canelo doing that because Canelo knows he's got a few years to make a bucket load of cash and then he can do what he wants. and he's prepared to pay the price.
Mm. He's worth 300 million, isn't he now, Canelo, apparently, net.
Probably got that in cash. Because we just look at it from a boxing perspective. Think of how big he must be in Mexico.
Yeah, he's big, he's massive. He dwarfs Joshua. Is it that? What was that company called that were giving him $500,000 a week? Is it Tecate or something? $500,000 a week just to be associated with them. That's unbelievable, isn't it? He's on billboards all over Mexico, and he's massive, isn't he, Canelo?
Yeah, they've done a really good job with Canelo. Whatever that team is behind him, management, social media, all of that stuff, which Hearn has no part of, by the way. That team Canelo, best operation in boxing, full stop.
Yeah, but you know, Canelo, he's fought everybody though, hasn't
he? Yeah. Like he I always say this, he's a guy who you can't question anything about his career. You can't. I don't want to hear people say he lost twice to Golovkin. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because in the first fight they cried because they said, what did they say? Golovkin was the guy pressing the fight. He was on the attack. He was the aggressor. And then in the second fight, when Canelo came on the attack and was the aggressor, then they said, oh, well, Golovkin was the better boxer, which tells you they just don't want to accept reality.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. You know, Canelo's equalled Mayweather's record, on it now, for 20 world champions beaten. 20 wins over world champions. I think Vladimir are all them 3 on 20 now. That's good, that, isn't it?
It's a tricky thing, isn't it? Everything's about context, right? So when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was like the man in the NBA, he was a 7-foot-something center with a sky hook and impossible to guard in the paint, basically, right?
Yeah.
But then Jordan came. I don't know if Jordan scored as many points as Abdul-Jabbar, but Jordan came and he brought so much more to the game. And then you got LeBron now, who's going to outscore Jordan. But to me, Jordan's the best out of the lot, because in the context, he played probably in the I don't know if to say a rougher era, but he played in a more intense era where he didn't get the protection LeBron's getting now, and he did things that redefined basketball today. And I think
he put basketball up map, didn't he, Michael Jordan? But him who you're on about, he's in the game of death with Bruce Lee, and the big guy, isn't he?
Yeah, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, yeah. And I'd say that. So when you look at Canelo, Mayweather, and Klitschko, Mayweather's just a different breed. Just because Mayweather established things that are normal now. This idea that O is important, Mayweather. They're making hundreds of millions for a fight, Mayweather. You know, these big events, these big press dudes, this is all like Mayweather made the stuff mainstream in boxing.
Yeah. Okay. Muhammad Ali were out at ring, wasn't he, for so many years, 3 or 4 years, and he came back and that, but he had like jaw. He had a couple of jaws. His jaw broke a couple of times. Fraser broke his jaw. Ken Norton broke his jaw. His legs weren't the same. He adapted his style. Billy Joe's Sona's legs on the night, they had no zip in them, did they? Do you think his legs have gone and he's now going to have to adapt his style if he comes back?
Okay, so that version of Billy Joe isn't a bad version of Billy Joe. You could put him in with like a Sergey Deverenchenko and it'll be a good fight. You could put him in with a fair few guys at 160 and 168 and it'll be a good fight. But when you're fighting someone like Canelo, he's not going to let you get out and about. Like, he's just not. That's his whole game. Like, his ability to cut the ring off is second nature to him. Like, it's freakish. And so when I watch Canelo, I just knew no matter how big the ring was, I was like, Billy Joe's not going to be able to get away. And what Billy likes to do is use his footwork to get away, get a quick breather, get back on the attack, right? That covers for his lack of stamina. Canelo just didn't let him do that in the fight.
Yeah. What about Canelo? Do you think he were just playing with him and letting him burn himself out? Because Billy looked to me like he was having to really, really work on it and concentrate more than ever before. Do you feel that after maybe round 7, he'd burnt himself out and there were no ink tank?
So if you look at the fight, Russ, first 3 or 4 rounds, Bill's boxing, and he looks technically sound, right? You're watching him, okay,
Yeah.
he's going to do all of this behind the jab. And it's almost as if he realized that Canelo wasn't going anywhere, right? He realized Canelo wasn't going anywhere, and maybe his legs start to feel heavy. So he drops his hands from that point on, right? And he's just using head movement and countering Canelo. Now, the thing with Canelo is he's probably like, that's all good, mate. Like, I can do this all day. So at that point, Canelo realizes Bill's probably blowing, and he starts playing with him a bit. Right? Round 5, 6, 7, just plays around with him. Just goes, okay, let me just keep taking energy out of him. And then he just lit him up in round 8. Just came for him and said, right, we're heading into the championship rounds now. Let's find out if Billy Joe Saunders has anything. And as soon as Canelo threw that punch, hit the eye, bing, it was just a matter of when, not if.
Do you feel that if he hadn't got caught in that round, do you think Canelo would have got to him anyway?
Yeah, like Canelo hadn't really ripped to the body at that point. Do you know what I mean? Like Canelo could have done anything to Bill. Like he stayed in range, so he could have done anything he wanted because Bill was open for it.
Yeah.
Comes back, and this is Porky's Corner. This is the voice of hardcore boxing. So you've got to ask yourself, and hopefully you get an interview with Mark Tibbs. What was the plan in that fight? It can't be just box Canelo behind the jab because that was never going to work. So what was the plan?
I don't think Mark's going to be doing any interviews for a bit, actually. We'll get onto that in a minute. Right. So at round 1 minute to go in round 8, Billy's been caught by it. He's ducked down, because he thought a body shot were going to come, and he's actually brought it up and he's hit him in the face. He disguises his punches very well, Canelo. He's a good poker player. Do you feel that Billy took the shot, didn't he? He didn't go down, and he got through it. His survival instinct kicked in. But he'd never been in a firefight before in his career, had he? Do you think this were all new to him?
That moment was crazy because I've seen it on video and it looks one way. But when you see the pictures and you look, number one, I think that's as unlucky a moment as you can get in boxing, right? Had Billy Joe just had his hand in front of his face instead of by the side, that shot doesn't do anything to him. Yeah, literally, just that hand placement was the difference. But that was that sort of punch. It looked like, Russ, and I know, back in your Doncaster days, Russ, you know sometimes when you catch someone on the chin, right?
How do I know that?
Come on, man. You're notorious in the bare knuckle world, Russ. Undefeated. The car park king. No, but so when you hit someone, there are those shots you feel, and it goes right through your arm, and that's the shot. And I think that's what happened with Canelo, because it seems like he just hit him and he went, oh Jesus, I really got him on that one. And then you saw Bill's reaction. Remember, he staggers back because you realize, oh, that's really hurt him. But we didn't know how it hurt him. And I imagine at that point, you can't train for that moment, because Bill's not a guy who's been in a lot of adversity in his career in terms of that sort of situation, and definitely not against someone who is better than he is. And this is where you got to give him credit. He kept his fighting sense and he kept his fighting heart, and he got himself through to the end of that round. I can't imagine what kind of pain he must have been in. Do you know what I mean? I can't imagine that pain. And he's got through that last minute, and then it all gets interesting. Right.
This is the point we're going to go across now. This is the main point of the thumbnail on the video. Right. So he gets to the stool. He sits down. We all clearly heard him say, what was it about his eye? Didn't he mention about his eye? He can't see out his eye.
Can't see.
Mark Tibbs says, can you go another round? Now, we all heard that. After that, it gets a bit blurry. Ben Davidson's in corner. He's been drafted in fight week. I think that's a lack of respect to Mark Tibbs. Considering
but certain people had to protect their investment, Russ. That's why he was there.
Mark Tibbs and Jimmy Tibbs gave Ben Davison his chance years ago at the Peacock Gym to learn about the sport of boxing. So Ben Davison, a couple of days to go before the fight, Ben's in corner. We'll just say that for now. I don't want to say too much. I don't personally, if it were me, I would have been very happy about that if I were Mark Tibbs. But so Ben's in corner and he's talking in every single round, but Mark's the head trainer. Now, personally, I wouldn't have put up with that. I'm all or nothing. I would have walked. But when you've been away from your family for a month, you just want to get paid, don't you, and get job done. So Mark Tibbs was in corner. Ben's in corner. Ben leans over, whispers something into Billy's ear. Mark asks him again, and Billy shakes his head. Now, the fight's off. Billy doesn't protest, so we're all right so far, aren't we? Everybody said Mark's made the right decision, blah, blah, blah. 48 hours later, the videos are all took down from Mark's interviews outside the dressing room where he's getting ambushed. Billy's not doing interviews. Then Ben Davison comes out and says, no, Billy wanted to continue. He was shaking his head because Mark stopped it. But the timings of the head shake and that don't add up with the story. So is this a PR campaign to make Billy look good and like he's a fighting man and a warrior and just gypsy warrior, this and that? Or what? Where are we with this? Because there's a lot of conflicting stories. And three of them, Mark Tibbs, Ben Davison, and Billy Joe Saunders. They're all in dock here. Who's the liar? Who's guilty?
Right, so here's how I look at it, right? Billy Joe Saunders is an asset to someone. He's a commercial asset to someone. And I imagine they haven't had their money out of him yet. So when you hear something like, Mark can't see, and they may have even heard the crack in the corner. Do you see what I mean? They may have heard the crack. So maybe Ben whispered something to say, listen, he's still got to pay something off. You might not want to go out for this next round. I don't know. I'm speculating. I don't know anything factually here. But maybe someone said, listen, you still need to fight. So if you go out for that next round and you get dealt with and you can't box again, you might be in a tricky one here. And I think Bill's just gone, let me live to fight another day.
Right. So why have we got all this like cover-up kind of thing? Because it kind of reminds me of the Dylan White B sample saga with Dylan White, Eddie Hearn, and all that palaver, the propaganda around it. And I'm going to come to the characters in a minute that have all played their hand. But what do you think? Do you think I'm right there?
Well, yeah, but it's for exactly the same reason, Russ. Right? It's they need to keep money in that kind. Can you imagine if Dylan had just gone A positive, B positive, right, you're banned for 2 years, then there's no money in Dylan. Now, I don't know whether he's guilty or not. I don't want to get into that discussion. But if he does get banned, he becomes half the value that he is. So let's say Billy Joe, theoretically, let's say Billy Joe did quit. And he comes out in the media and says, yeah, I did quit. Do you think the fans want to see Billy Joe again? No. But if we make out that it was a 1 in a million punch, Bill's eye's going to heal up, and then Bill's going to come back, fans will want to see what Bill's got left. They did the same with Kell Brook. So it's just a way of keeping the money in the fighter without telling the public the truth.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it?
But interesting, it's the same trainer in both scenarios. I think it's just more bad luck than anything.
Same trainer? How do you mean?
Well,
Mark Tibbs, yeah, Mark Tibbs, yeah. I thought you were on about the Dubois one. No, that was Martin Bowers. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, Mark, obviously.
That's just bad luck, isn't it?
Yeah, but Mark Tibbs didn't know about the B sample. He didn't know about that.
Wait. No. Let's hit the brakes for a second. If Mark didn't know about it, then he might be the worst head trainer in boxing. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but as a head trainer, your job is to know everything.
He said that on IFL, didn't he? He didn't know anything about it.
Well, say what you want, mate, but it's like, Russ, if I'm training you and you pop for something, even if I didn't know you took it, I would have seen something in your training where I'm like, this doesn't feel right.
Well, if I'm on steroids, the worst ones in the world.
Yeah, we'll get you back on them soon, Russ. We'll get you back up to 17 stone ripped.
I don't want out in my body. I've just about took everything, haven't I, except steroids. But
just call you Porky Theo.
I'm a diet way man. All right then. Now, the hula hoopers were out in force straight away. Spencer Fearon, various other people. Gareth A. Davies had Billy Joe Saunders 2 rounds ahead.
In an 8-round fight, he had Billy Joe Saunders 2 rounds ahead.
Yeah, and we've got. Gareth A. Davies and
Spencer... He gave Billy Joe Saunders 5 rounds in an 8-round fight.
Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it? Gareth A. Davies come out, said what he said. Spencer Fearon, Ben. They can't get any further up MTK's hula hoop. Ben Davidson, all the company men, and the Mike Coppinger one this morning. Painful to see Mike Coppinger. I don't know if he's a new PR guy at MTK. I don't know, but everybody came out and there were disappointing quotes from Peter Fury and Carl Froch that I didn't agree with. Whether they're just playing the game or not, I don't know. But
what did they say?
Carl Froch said he didn't quit. Peter Fury said he didn't quit. But yeah, Dubois did. So...
Well, okay. So this is why I love the fact that I've been consistent. I don't think Dubois quit, and I don't think Billy Joe quit for the exact same reason that they weren't in a winning position in that fight. If Dubois had been like 4 or 5 rounds ahead of Joe, I think he would have probably carried on. I think if Bill had been miles ahead in that fight and just had to see out 2 rounds, I think he'd have toughed it out. But when you're not winning, like what are you in there for? Do you see? Well, like I said in my podcast, it would be the weirdest thing in the world for someone to expect me to take an additional beating in a fight that I'm losing just to please a bunch of people I don't know. Yeah, that's weird.
I see where you're coming from, Terry, but Billy did say a lot leading up to the fight regarding...
No. Listen, that was the problem. You got to go out on this, brother. You got to go out on this, brother. Yeah? Got to show some heart, brother. Well, I don't even know what kind of accent that was. This is but that, Russ, it's the problem, right? When you've got a platform like IFL, it encourages you to say stupid things. And I'm not blaming Coogan for this. I'm just saying you're trying to get the clicks, you're trying to get the views as a boxer, you're trying to get attention. You say stupid things that you shouldn't say. This thing quit. Too many people talk about it in boxing. And a lot of people don't know what it's like to be hit. Like, I always go back. There was a time, right, when I was young, Russ, and we're at the lodge, and I kept pestering Mick to spar, and he's like, jump in with Leon Williams. For all you hardcores, you know Leon Williams was, I think it's British cruiserweight champ.
Yeah.
And so he goes, do 3 rounds with Leon. And I was like, all right. So first round, with the jab, it's all right. And then when he decided to turn it up, Russ, man, I just couldn't even see where the shots were coming from. I was just like, whatever. And you get to a point in that fight, and I just said, I just need to take my beating for these 3 rounds now. There's no point in trying to be clever. I've just got to take my beating and work on my defense here. But it's a scary place because just when you think you've had the hardest punch, another one comes, which is even harder. You're like, this is horrible. It takes a lot of fortitude to then say, I'm going to keep doing this. You know, it takes a lot. And like, if you're in a losing position against a guy that's miles better than you, he's like, well, what am I going out there for?
Yeah. All right, then. Obviously, we've had people coming out straight away, jumping on bandwagon. Not jumping on bandwagon. It's a trending story, so people feel that they have to come out and do an interview. Dave Caldwell's done the most interviews.
Again.
Counting it up this morning. Only by 2, though. But he's done the most. He's done 8 regarding it. Now...
He wasn't even there.
I know, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he had to exert himself into the... He's ex-promoter, and he knows what he's doing. Dave Caldwell, come see me. Tony Bellew, the man has disappeared. He's not done one interview, and I think he was there, wasn't he, with Barker?
Well, he just wants to be alone with his family, Russ.
No, but Tony Bellew's Billy's mate, isn't he? He's not said a word. Nelson and Bean have not done an interview. Matthew Macklin, MTK company man, he's not said a word. So Macklin's not come out and said, Billy didn't quit, Billy didn't quit. He's just not getting airtime because he's a fighter and he'll know that what he saw, won't he? Look, it's harsh me saying quit because I put myself in a situation where people can have a go at me. But that to me is a quit. But because I'm not a boxer, I'm not allowed to speak about it. Oh, you're not a boxer, you should be saying that. He had a damaged eye and all that. Yeah, we did and that. But look, we have to go on what we see, don't we? If Billy had come out and gone and got beat by a better man, everything would have been all right. But they hadn't have the. It's the cover-up that I have a problem with. And
mate, it's a tough one. Like, when I look at it, Russ.
Media blackout, Terry, innit? It's a media blackout across the board. Nobody's saying a word. I can't work it out why everybody's frightened. Well, I can. It's because everybody's frightened that they'll be frozen out by MTK and all that around it, or that they might get pulled at a show, or what you're saying this, or look, I don't care about them. They don't pay my bills, MTK. Matchroom and DAZN don't pay my bills. But I'm not going to come out and hula hoop anybody like a lot of people have done. Because quite frankly, I find it embarrassing that grown men feel they have to come out and say what they really don't think because they want to move forward in the sport of boxing and stay in the mix. I find it embarrassing. And these people need to have a look at themselves, all of them across the board, because if they really mean what they said, I understand that. I know people who've said things that don't mean that. Like, well, you know, I've got to get a living. Now, go job centre if you want a job. What, is that harsh? Am I being harsh?
Right. No, but look, all of this is a mess because... Why
is Billy not coming out and having an interview? Are they getting the lines right? Because they've had a week to sort it, haven't they?
It's a mess, right? However people want to slice and dice this, it's a mess. And here's why it's a mess. As boxing fans, we watch documentaries about Gerald McClellan and we go, God, that's terrible. Yeah, we do. We go, that's terrible. And we go, if only he had just like taken the knee in round 8 or whatever. I don't know, man.
He did take a knee. He did take a knee.
But not if he had taken it earlier, for example.
Took a knee in round 10.
Yeah, if he had took 2 rounds earlier, would that have preserved him? I don't know, Russ. And I look at all of these guys. I look at Michael Watson. I look at all of these guys and I say, how many boxing fans who talk about quitting and you should go out on your shield and you should be that hero? How many of those guys are putting a tenner a month in for Michael Watson and putting a tenner a month in for Gerald McClellan? None of them. Boxing fans forget about you when you're not relevant. And so I come back to this point. As a boxing fan, I am not relevant to Billy Joe's life. Mm. So why should he care whether I think he quit or not? I don't give a monkeys. I don't, because like, if boxing fans rewarded you for sacrificing yourself like that, they said, you know what, mate, go out on your shield and we'll make sure you stay comfortable and you've got money. And I saw Harold Graham struggle. And I don't speak to him as often as I should, but I speak to Harold Graham every so often. Who's talking about him?
No one.
Yeah, so what do you mean be brave and go out on your shield? Like, you boxing fans need to have a word with themselves, man. Like, you're not that relevant. All you do is you buy a service. Yeah, you buy entertainment from these guys. That's all you do is you buy entertainment. You're not their moral guardian. You're not anything to them.
Yeah. All right, then. The narrative being pushed by YouTubers with access. For example, we have IFL Umar doing interviews, and he had Billy Joe up, and if it were unfortunate, he got punched in round 8. Umar said, and these people are pushing.
Wait! It was unfortunate he got punched in round 8 in a boxing bout.
That's what Umar said. I know, yeah, because he was winning the fight.
Send him a job description of a boxer.
He was winning the fight. Now, these people are supposed to be impartial. They've got access, but they know what side the bread's buttered, don't they? And I have a problem with that because none of them have got any. They've got balls the size of Marifat peas. Like that.
Yeah. Well, listen, boxing fans have to make a choice. They have to listen to outlets like yours that say it as it is.
Yeah, this is why my channel's doing well at the moment. So I'm really pleased that we've stuck at it for this last 3.5 years. Is Ben Davidson and John Fury, are they geniuses, Ben Davidson and John Fury? Yes or no? And then I'm going to tell you why I think they are geniuses.
Yes, because they managed to insert themselves into boxing and become relevant when there's no actual foundation for it.
All right. Ben Davidson, for example, we're carrying Mark Tibbs' spit bucket a couple of years ago. Tyson Fury, Josh Taylor, Billy Joe, now Devin Haney. Right. Ben Davidson.
Wait, he's training Devin Haney.
Yeah. 2 seconds. Yeah, he's just come out yesterday and said that. Now, 2 seconds. So that's 4 world champions. What about Isaac Lowe? What about other kids from scratch now? So that's Ben Davison, and then he does a sermon every Sunday and a Monday mass. You can't get him out of he's on your TV all the time, Ben Davison. But he's not done anything with anybody from scratch. But good luck to him, because he's maybe one for the future, but he's still only a kid, isn't he? And then we've got John Fury now. Big John's been out of jail 6 years in August. In that 6 year, Peter Fury's gone. Asif Ali's gone. The other Asif, who runs the camp for Peter Fury's gone. Ben Davidson's gone. We got rid of him, hasn't he? And then we've got Ricky Hatton. He's gone from training Tommy. And John's exerted himself in as the trainer and got a job on PT Sport. So is John Fury a genius as well? 8-4 and 1 journeyman. What do you think?
The grift is undefeated, Russ. Life is just about...
Go on. Robbie Lee can't get a job at BT Sport, or Clinton Woods, world champions.
Yeah, but they don't know how to grift, though. See, John Fury knows how to grift. John Fury will never let an opportunity go without grifting on it. Same with Ben Davison. They know where the energy's going, and they make sure they get their grift on. So I can't knock anyone that's on their grift, because if you're getting paid for it, it's worth it.
Yeah. Okay. Matt Christie's come out and set about Billy Joe Saunders in Boxing News yesterday.
What did he say?
I haven't seen what he said. I've only just been sent a link. I just had a quick look at it. So people will have to go and look at that. But apparently he wants us. Apparently he's more or less sides with me and not you. Because you say you didn't quit, didn't you?
Yeah.
But you'll have to look. Tony Bellew and Matthew Macklin have come out and said that Joshua Boazzi is like Andre Ward now that he's got Virgil Hunter and he will dominate for years. What do you think to that?
Right. How old's Josh now? Is he 28, 29?
Yeah.
Still no career-defining fight.
No career-defining fight. And he's fighting a guy whose record is... His record's awful. He's beat loads of people with losing records, and he's headlining on Sky tomorrow.
Right.
What?
What about Spider Richards? When are they going to say Spider Richards is Andre Ward? Because Spider Richards fights anybody. When are they going to give him credit? When are they going to put him at the top of the mountain and say, here's how you should have a boxing career? Do not avoid anybody. Fight for a world title when it's presented to you. When are they going to do that? Instead of talking about, and it's not that I don't like Josh Boazzi at all. I think Josh is a hell of a talent. But if we're talking about rubber on the road, who's really done it, who's really moved this thing forward, you can't compare Craig's record with Boazzi's record. You just can't.
No.
And that's an Olympic bronze medalist.
Yeah.
Look, right?
Yeah.
When they went to Rio, it's 5 years ago, right? When they flew out to Rio, nearly 5 years ago. Josh Boazzi was the most respected one out of that lot in terms of pedigree and all the stuff he'd won up until that point. But Lawrence Okoli is the world champion right now. Lawrence is the guy who's got the stellar record. So what is it with Josh? Is it that he's not that good? Is it that he's injury prone? What is it? There's something not right there, because he should have been fighting for a world title by now.
Yeah, he should have been. Do you know Virgil Hunter? He's had a lot of fighters over the years. He's only had one world champion, though, Andre Ward.
Mm-hmm.
He's never done anything with anybody else. So is he the kiss of death for anybody except Andre Ward?
So here's the problem. All of these guys are getting Virgil Hunter in his 60s, right? So physically, he can't do what he probably could with Ward when he was younger. Do you see what I mean, Russ?
Yeah.
So you all you're getting is kind of like the wise old man. You're not getting that kind of personal touch that Andre would have got growing up. So maybe that's the explanation as to why it's not carrying over. The other option is maybe you have to have started with Virgil Hunter from scratch to be a real Virgil Hunter fighter. I don't know. Like, I'd suspect that's the case. If you arrived to Virgil's place as a 10-year-old, I'm sure you'd be a hell of a boxer by then. But maybe it also goes to show how great Andre Ward is as a person, that he was able to take Virgil's style and, be great and, basically destroy the town of Nottingham in one night.
All right. Paul Reddy, you know who he is, don't you? He manages Sandy Ryan, doesn't he?
Hey, wasn't that the guy that got Fabio Wardley in with that fat guy? Because he used to be the matchmaker for Matchroom, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't they bounce him out after that embarrassment?
Yeah, and he set his own company up. He advises Callum Smith now. He got Callum Smith away from Joe Gallagher, didn't
he? Yeah, for what purpose? What's that done for him? Absolutely nothing. Now, people should be managed by Joe. I said this to you before, Russ. I wasn't a Gallagher fan once upon a time, but the slick back hair and the beard, I'm a believer now. Like, I'm just a believer in Joe Sons of Anarchy Gallagher. I like it. And he's had a renaissance. If you see his fighters now, they're all a little bit different to how we used to train people. And I don't know if you're going to get an interview with him. I'd love to know why Gallagher fighters are fighting differently now to how they were 5 years ago.
Maybe he's just added something to the game, or maybe people hammering him for that same style that they always used to have. Maybe.
But I respect that. For me, I respect that. And the reason I respect it is it's hard, man. Like, once you believe something works, it's hard to retool and refocus and then make it work again. So fair play to him.
Yeah. Paul Reddy, though, seems to be everywhere, doesn't he, at the moment? And I have
Sam Jones.
Yeah. Well, I'm just coming to it. No, you took the words right out of my mouth. He's the new Sam. I've got him down as the new Sam Jones because he's doing all the speaking for his fighters like Sam Jones and like Caldwell does. But point I want to make is, well done, Dave Caldwell, getting the deal with Everlast, saying that you're an athlete and all this. But what I want to point out is this. Is there a lot of people now in the sport of boxing going to these shows and events, making it about themselves, doing interview after interview after interview, and the boxers not doing the interviews? Because I don't seem to see much with Jordan Gill or Hopi Price and Lerone Richards. I don't see much from them, but I seem to be seeing more of Dave Caldwell. Same with Paul Reddy. We don't see Callum Smith or Sandy Ryan much. We seem to be seeing a lot of Paul Reddy. We see a lot of Sam Jones, more than Joe Joyce and these other fighters. And is this the way forward? Now these people are becoming mouthpieces for their fighters.
It's like wrestling, right? You got to position yourself as the Paul Heyman of this world. I mean, so you got to be out there cutting promos for your fighters, but because you're selling, right? Yeah. Let the boxer box, you do the selling. Look, Russ, if you're a pro right now, I'd be your mouthpiece.
Yeah.
I'd be cutting promos left, right, and center, and I'd be on every channel going, Porky Russ is going to be a world champion in 2 weeks.
I'm just happy beating my previous scores with views every month. And I'm just happy to keep these off my back.
Yeah. So look, I have no issue with it because there's some people who, when you put a microphone in front of them, they're terrible, right? So let someone else do the talking and let them do the fighting. I think it's better for them.
Maybe I'm like them. I do this every day, don't I? But I'm commenting on what they're saying. So I don't know. I don't know. I just like to call the bullshit. And when I see somebody and they say something to me, I always log it in my head. And then when I see them say something totally different on social media, I pull them about it. What's all that? Well, I've got to play it.
But it's interesting how Everlast are doing this thing, because to be real with you, a lot of the Everlast products are garbage. Like, I used to have the Everlast Mantis pads, and they lasted about 2 weeks before the stitching went and the foam's all shooting out. They're all great products, man. So I imagine They're just a modern day Lonsdale.
Gloves are good though, aren't they? The gloves are good.
If you pay the money, so you've got to pay like 130 quid to get any kind of decent Everlast glove.
Hey, them RDXs are 130 quid that Dennis uses. They're dear. They're the match gloves.
Yeah. Dennis's boxing and fight gloves.
No. There's a box in Dennis's office, and it's the RDX. Josh Whale was the first one to wear them, and they say RDX on them. And I think I got Froch to sign a pair for some auction at Dennis's football club, and they're 130 quid a pop. Them RDX gloves.
For RDX, they'll be that'll be like the top end of an RDX glove. Whereas for Everlast, 130 isn't even the top end.
Oh, yeah. All right. Are they Grant ones? How much are they? They're 200 quid, aren't they?
300-400 quid for a good pair.
400 quid. Oh.
Yeah, you're paying about 350 for a pair of winnings as well. Good gloves aren't cheap, but the upside about good gloves, Porky, is that they last. And the Everlast stuff just doesn't last. From my experience, and I've got a pair of Protex 3s here that I don't even use anymore because they're just not great, man. They're just rickety.
Yeah. All right then. Jumping back to the Mark Tibbs issue, the video legend Mark Tibbs, son of a legend as well.
All right, son. You are
boxing royalty.
Right,
how's it going, Porky? Yeah. Knocking bandy, son. Knocking bandy. Right. The videos that were taken down. Now, everybody knows that Coogan were putting himself about getting people to take stuff down. Who's told him to do that? Probably Billy Joe. Why were the videos took down that Mark Tibbs did the interview? As soon as he come out of the dressing room, you got it put on him straight away. The Radio Raheem put it on him. Phelps, and there's a couple other ones, I think Boxing Social, IFL. Look, them videos have been took down now. Some people saved them, some didn't. Ultratech, big shout out Ultratech Boxing, give him a follow.
Yeah, I saw my first Ultratech video. Well, the one you sent me, Russ.
Yeah, good, wasn't it?
First time I've watched that end to end. Yeah, man, he's all right, man. He does his thing, man. So yeah, shout out to him, man. Keep doing your thing.
Yeah, Ultratech, good guy, boxing guy. He trains fighters as well for free at a gym in down south. So gives his time up. Yeah, he trains fighters in the gym, helps out and that. It doesn't take money.
Wait, hold on. How's he training guys? He said he only started training 2 years ago.
I think he helps people out in gym and stuff like that. From what I've heard, but he's all right. I think he's mates with Alfie. Is it Warren? Them sort of boys. I think he's in with them. But
okay.
So good luck to him. He's another person that doesn't take note out of the sport. A bit like Martin Theobald. Doesn't he help out at one of the local gyms, or he helps out in some sort of capacity?
Martin's everywhere, man.
I have time for. I saw him and Steve Goodwin do the thing from Cornwall the other day, or Zoom or something. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
So good luck to them. But the videos that were taken down, why were they taken down, do you think?
To make sure that they can get a consistent story out about Bill.
Yeah.
They want to get their story out. Remember, Hearn said it. This is all about storylines. This is not about reality anymore. This is about storylines. And Eddie said it. He said it himself. This is about storylines from cradle to grave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forget what reality is. It's about what fits the story.
I take it you saw the I take it you saw the video where Billy Joe Saunders' brother allegedly got a guy to apologise, saying Billy didn't quit.
No, I didn't even see that.
It's on front of one of my videos. I think it's the hula hoop, Mini Coopers and hula hoopers. There's Mini Coopers and there's hula hoopers. I think it's on that one. I will not personally be apologising for that because I believe in freedom of speech. So keep the threats coming, emails, texts, and all that, phone calls. I don't do things like that. But I wish Billy Joe all the best. But I won't be apologising because I'm not as forgiving as some people. Because if it were me getting flogged like that, people would say I quit, and I can assure you I would have quit. So there's no shame in it. Coogan Cassius put an Instagram post out, 3 of them, saying he's been friends with Billy Joe 22 years, they're his family, and that's more important than his job and blah, blah, blah. So 22 years. So Coogan would be 18, Billy would be 9. They're They've been friends since Billy were 9 and he were 18. So that's what he's saying, his words. But I don't remember seeing Coogan hanging around up here at the EIS 2008 when Billy Joe were preparing for Olympics. So that is debatable whether he's been friends with Billy 22 years. But,
sounds a bit creepy to me.
So very odd to me. But some people exert themselves into them situations. Spencer Fearon once told me about somebody being godfather to his children and wasn't true. I'm not going to say who it were, but Spencer Fearon. If you mention my name again, like you did on your podcast, I will play something on here. All right? And you will be crawling under a rock then. So let me just put you in your place. People say things to exert themselves in certain positions or to be close to certain people. I know for a fact that he hadn't known Billy Joe Saunders 22 years because I've heard back. But maybe he meant 12 years, not 22. So we'll give Coogan the benefit of the doubt. But Coogan, start doing your job properly and start trying to be neutral. Try and be neutral and have an opinion, good or bad. Don't try and hook yourself up to somebody and then try and put narratives out on your channel, because all it is now, it's looking like he's controlled by people in the industry. And what I mean by controlled, I mean by Coogan ringing up Mickey Theo every single day for interview after interview. And he was getting the interviews because he's got a big platform. And then him taking all the interviews down. So Mickey pulled him about it and he said, well, what it is, you're not a board registered person and I can't be interviewing you. But Coogan, you don't have a board license, so you can interview anybody you want.
And nor does Gareth A. Davis. So.
Nor does Gareth A. Davis. And I went through all this with Boxing Board of Control because I did an interview with Dennis and the Boxing Board of Control suspended Dennis's license because I spoke about getting in touch with Gavin McDonnell, and Steffi Bull put a complaint into the board. Steffi Bull, informant, the Bertie Smalls of boxing. And Dennis said, I'm not even going to go to that meeting in Bradford at that hotel. Dennis got his lawyers on it and managed to get his license back. The board didn't take action, but if Dennis hadn't had people, big lawyers on retainers every month, because he's always in meetings with lawyers, isn't he? I would have probably had loads of problems, but I didn't do anything wrong. Gavin McDonnell was the one who texted Dennis and said, Dennis, have you got any featherweights for me to bash up? Dennis replied, yeah, you know I have. We've got Josh Whale. Russell's just signed him. We signed Josh the day before. So Steffi took that as, and me mentioning it in the interview as I were tapping up Gavin, because I got in touch with Gavin and said, get back in touch with Dennis and let's get this fight made. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I have not got a board license. I can do what I want, Robert Smith, Steffi Bull. So you don't need to be telling tales and putting statements in and grassing. That is called grassing. A bit like when Dave Caldwell grassed Glyn Rhodes up to the board for slapping Johnny Nelson at a weigh-in. Best thing about it is Johnny Nelson's missus, old Debbie. Have you seen her, Big Debbie? She jumped on Glyn's back, nearly broke it. That's just another story from my book, innit? But the point I want to make is, look, people try and block you behind the scenes. It's not just about fights. Things go on behind the scenes, and that backfired on you, didn't it, Steffi? But I don't know. I just think that it's all bad, isn't it? What do you think? What do you think?
I just think everyone's trying to turn boxing into this kind of WWE light sort of product where you have these storylines that culminate in fights, and hopefully the fans will pay to watch these fights. Now, the big difference is, Russ, in WWE, you can kind of choreograph anything you want. So you can make it as extreme as you want. Boxing's a bit too real for that. So actually, you can have the most amazing build-up to something, and then the fight's an absolute stinker.
Yeah.
Then you got to rebuild from scratch. But this is where it's at right now, man. The nerds are taking over us. That's what I can say.
Yeah. Okay. We've had silence from Dave Allen as well regarding Billy's fight. He's not come out and said anything. Is that because he's with MTK?
Fair play to him. I wish more people like that. Just don't say anything, man.
Yeah.
In future, not just about Bill. Just don't say anything.
Is this going to be
these things?
Go on.
I would say these things always come back to haunt.
Is this going to be the way forward whenever it's an MTK fight and everybody's going to be too scared to say something? Is it just going to be left to me, Ultratech and Boxing Asylum and you and Rico and that? Is it going to be left to a handful of us? Because everybody's frightened to have to say anything in case they get froze out or they get the press passes took off them. Is this what we're going to have? Anarchy or domination or whatever they call it? Communism, is that what it is? Is this what we're going to have? Because I won't be going down that route. I will always have an opinion, always. I don't know.
Boxing's in that dark place, man. Look how long it's taken to negotiate AJ versus Fury, man. You're just like, it's a sport that just doesn't help itself.
The world's changing. So, I mean, Dave Allen, every time there's a big show, a big fight on like that, Sunday sermon, people have come out and done the Sunday sermons or they've stayed quiet. I believe that the ones that stayed quiet knew what they saw, like I did. The ones that didn't stay quiet knew what they saw, but felt like they had to get something out there because they're already being asked these questions. So that's my opinion. But opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got them, haven't they? Moving on to AJ against Joshua. Frank Warren came out yesterday, said it's not signed. They're not happy with certain things and certain money's not there yet. Eddie Hearn says it's a done deal August 14. Yes. Eddie Hearn says August 14. So, but looking at social media this morning and some stuff people have sent me and forums, it looks like nobody believes it, doesn't it? Because it's gone on that long. It's been overkill, hasn't it? Do you think?
I always look at a fight like this, right? There are only really two things that need to be agreed. A wants to fight B, and the money makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. They're the only two things. Most fights will get signed if you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we know Joshua and Fury want to fight each other. So that's a big tick.
Yeah.
The money's the issue. I'm 100% confident that Team Fury will promise a certain number and that number can't be delivered. That's my thing at the moment. The number cannot be delivered that they were expecting. And so Eddie can come out and say, look, Prince this and Prince that want the fight to happen. If they want the fight to happen, they'd put money up. And from what I can understand right now, no money has been put up. Like there are no verifiable guarantees that the money is there. And so Fury's like, I'm not signing because I'd be signing for a fight and I don't even know the real terms. So why would I do that?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Do you feel that Fury's, has still got issues with Wilder? I mean, last March, I obviously saw something. I'm not going to say who showed me it, but I saw something that suggested that him and Wilder were going to have to fight, or Wilder were going to get paid. Everybody said, "Porky, you hate him," and other people said, "Porky, please don't leave YouTube." But they're still not fought. Tyson's 15-month out at ring. So's Wilder, 15-month plus. We're into the 16th month now. Do you feel that he's got to put Wilder to bed, or that Wilder will be getting some money out of that job? What do you think?
So they're going through the arbitration now, aren't they? I think that the fair outcome is you just pass Wilder some money. Yeah, pass Wilder some money, get the fight made, and then Wilder, if Wilder's still a viable opponent, I think he needs a couple of fights. He might fight the winner of the two fights, man. I don't know. It's a disaster at the moment because now Usyk's like, well, when do I get my shot? And the longer this drags on, the harder it is to make the fight.
Yeah.
It's just hard. I don't. It doesn't. You and I've talked about this a lot. None of this makes sense to me. It feels like the only person that wants this fight to happen in August is Eddie Hearn.
Yeah. I think you're right, mate. I think you're right. I think that Big Viv from Midlands, with the Tony Daly lookalike, that brummie I have on with Bubble Perm, him and Dale Nichols will be going crazy with all this stuff that's coming out at the moment about Joshua Fury, because it's just not happening, isn't it? It's just not.
Oh, if you're Fury, you're like, I want to do this in Vegas.
All right then. Jason Cunningham fights tomorrow, and Lee Appleyard from this area. Both of them are shot to pieces. I mean, shot to pieces like you could never imagine. And everybody's saying that they're going to get run over, tomorrow night. What do you think about that? Do you think that Steffi's going to feed some more people to Matchroom like he did Townend?
Hey, listen, that's how we get.
And Robbie Barrett. He fed Robbie Barrett, didn't he, to Ritson?
Yeah, so that's how he keeps in Eddie's good books, right?
Yeah.
Just serves up the sacrificial lambs. But I thought it was disappointing, actually, because we know Steffi Ball runs Terry Harper's account. I thought the attack on Ellie Scotney was disrespectful.
Yeah.
That's kind of stuck with me, because and I don't even think Ellie Scotney was even talking about Terry Harper, and Steffi just jumps in and sticks his nose in her. It doesn't even matter. He's just disrespectful, isn't he? Like, and the board never pulled him up on anything.
What do you think about the situation earlier this week where Terry Harper tweeted something on her account, and it was something about a girl hanging out at the back of somebody's arse?
Ellie Scotney, that's what I was talking about.
But Steffi forgot that when Natasha Jonas fought Terry Harper, he came out on Sky Sports, sat next to Joe Gallagher and all that, and he said he admitted to running Terry's account for 2.5 years, her Twitter. And then a tweet comes out like that, and then it's like he's having conversations with Terry's account to his. Do you feel that if it was Terry that put it out, that she should come out and do a video and say it was her, because she stayed silent, hasn't she, over it?
I think he's told her to say nothing. I'm just not a Steffi Ball fan. I told you when I saw him when he was with Sergeant Bomber, and I mean, he was moving funny. What was the other time I saw him? I saw him at York Hall as well. That's when we kind of put a bit of pressure on him, because he had his little entourage with him, and then I had a little entourage with me. And I had to remind him, I'm like, mate, this is not Donny, my friend. You're in the wrong part of town to be piping up.
This is not Dennerby.
Yeah, no. There was some size on Team Terry, that's for sure. Because he had the Asian dude with the beard in his crew.
He's actually all right in Latif. The WBA, is it time to shut them down? We've got Manuel Char, 4 year out the ring, I believe. Is that correct? I might be wrong on that. Yeah. Against Lovejoy, who nobody's seen any footage of him. This mystery 19-0 Iceman with 19 knockouts, Don King fighter.
All legit knockouts. By the way, they're all legit knockouts. Like for me, he's Mike Tyson in the flesh. Yeah,
well, he's fighting for world title, WBA regular belt, and he could have been fighting Dave Allen a few months ago. But how has he got a fight? How has he got that fight and into them rankings? And why has Char not been stripped if he's been inactive that long? And who's making these decisions? I don't know.
Do you know why so here's my theory on that belt. So the WBA don't care about that regular belt, because they know if they get rid of that belt, Frez Okendo gets to fight Joshua whenever he wants. So the WBA are going to keep that regular belt until Okendo's in no fit state to box, and then they'll get rid of it. But they want to keep it there in case Okendo invokes his court mandated right to fight for that belt. They're going to keep that belt going, so he can't get to Joshua, because Okendo wants the Joshua fight, take his payday and go. And the WBA don't want to give that to him.
Yeah. Frez Okendo.
Yeah. That's why Char's been allowed to keep that belt.
Justice for Frez.
I think so. Let him fight Joshua.
Is it, like I just said, is it time to shut them down now?
To be honest, I'd shut them all down apart from the IBF.
I've got a letter here. I'm going to just cover the guy's address up. This is from the Department for Digital Culture and Media Sport. and it's from Dempsey Marple's ministerial support team, and it's basically from Parliament politicians. It's been sent in by the gentleman that wrote the Jack Turpin, is it? Randolph Turpin's brother, Terry Fox. Terry got in touch. He were unhappy with mismatches in sport of boxing and saying that somebody's going to get hurt sooner or later. So I'm just going to read this out. This is from Parliament, this. All right, so let me just read this. All right, 2 seconds. Let me put my glasses on. Thank you for your correspondence of 19th of February to the Parliamentary Undersecretary of State for Sport and Civil Society, Mims Davis MP, about the promotion of boxing. I am replying as a member of the ministerial support team. This government takes the safety and well-being of all sports participants very seriously. It is vital that sport is safe and that there are robust measures in place across all sports to protect the health and well-being of those taking part. Our Sporting Future strategy recognises that everyone taking part in sport should be protected and looked after. As a result, the government asked Baroness Tanny Gray-Thompson to carry out a review of the duty of care, in inverted commas, that sport has to its participants. Her report dedicated an entire chapter to safety, injury and medical injuries. We are now working with the sports sector to consider the recommendations of this report. You can view the report here. www.gov.uk government publication, duty of care in sport review. It is not the government's role to regulate sport, but rather to set the high-level policy that guides how public money is invested in sport by its arm's length bodies. Sport England and UK Sport. England boxing is regulated by the International Boxing Association, AIBI, which sets safety guidelines for amateur boxing. For professional boxing, as you are aware, the governing body is the British Boxing Board of Control, BBB, in brackets. If you have not done so already, I would suggest that you contact the Boxing Board of Control, which will be best placed to address your concerns. I hope that this information is helpful. Yours sincerely, Dempsey Marple's Ministerial Support Team. So basically, our government passing the book on to Boxing Board of Control for dangerous matchmaking in professional ranks. Yes or no?
I don't want my tax pounds going to someone in an office reviewing every fight card, that's for sure. I think, Russ, it should be us as fans just not going to watch the rubbish.
Yeah.
Let's stop watching prospect against 5 and 25 fighters, man. Just stop watching it.
Yeah.
They'll soon switch up. But the problem is boxing fans want to be involved in everything. So they end up just going to these things. And it just means that you get more of what you ask for.
Yeah. I just think that there's been some dangerous matchmaking over the last few years. For example, certain people have got title shots in America and they're just getting bashed up, aren't they? I mean, look, Rocky Fielding shouldn't have been anywhere near Canelo. Gavin Rees shouldn't have been anywhere near Broner. Lee Purdy shouldn't have been in with Devin Alexander. The list goes on and on and on. Paul Smith fighting Andre Ward, fighting Jamie Ambler or whoever, and then fighting Andre Ward.
Porky, they're daring to be great, mate. They're daring to be great.
Yeah, but somebody's going to get hurt, aren't? Somebody's going to get hurt. Look at this kid that's in Mubatsi this weekend. He can get seriously hurt him tomorrow. And look at Lee Appleyard, Steffi Bull's fighter, who fights Dalton Smith tomorrow. Lee Appleyard's an alcoholic, mate. He shouldn't be in there. He's shot to pieces. He'll get smashed up him tomorrow. And the list goes on and on, where people are just pandering to Eddie Hearn and people like that and just throwing kids in. As long as they make weight and they pass an eye test, they have medical, he fit to fight, yeah, signing him off, blah, blah, blah. Somebody's going to get hurt. People have been hurt, but somebody's going to get really hurt. And it's all right sitting there with a towel and going on IFL saying we're going to win and all this and blah, blah, blah. Talk is cheap in boxing. Talk is cheap. We all saw what happened when Steffi Bull fought Amir Khan, don't we?
Wow.
We all
The
saw
board
that
don't
fight.
want to know about that, do they?
Nobody mentions that fight, do they? But let me tell you this. He shouldn't have been in Miami Khan. He felt like he was surrounded, he told me. He shouldn't have been in there. Bad matchmaking. And like I said, who's looking out for these kids? Who is looking out for them? For example, the kid who fought Ricky Hatton's son, he was 0-4. And he's really a bantamweight fighting at super bantam. He jumped up 3 weight divisions at short notice to fight Campbell Hatton, not Ricky Hatton, Campbell Hatton. Now, he could have got blown away if he won for the fact that Campbell Hatton's a feather duster man. Do you know what I mean? So who's watching out for these kids? I don't want to hear about all that, putting food on the table and that. There's got to be a safety element. Fighters' safety is paramount. Just like I think there should be pensions for fighters and more brain scans after every fight. Straight after a fight, even if you've only been hit twice. There should be daily, every time you spar or fight, there should be brain scans after. Why don't they put some of this government money into that and get all these trainers a brain scan for the gyms? And why don't we, instead of putting all these millions into football, why don't they just give every trainer who's got a gym a brain scan equipment? Why? Or free brain scans every week? And come on. Somebody's going to get hurt. And why aren't the pensions for fight? I can go on forever with a list of grievances, but the Boxing Board of Control, all they're doing is living big. We all see what hotel rooms they go in. They get the meals on wheels and taxes and all this. That 900,000 they spent last year, couldn't they have trimmed that down to 300,000 and put 640 into something like this? Eh? I know they don't take a wage, so they say, but they live big, don't they, off it all? And everything's free. And really, if you're getting petrol and travel and hotel and all that free all week, and these people are spending 300 days away from their wives, basically, that's a wage in itself, isn't it? Free living for 10 months a year. Come on. What do you think? Well, am I right? Well, it's all, hey, listen, it's all out there, a public record. Rico got it up on his computer. He sent me it. I was looking at what they were spending, these people. And don't forget, I know what happens when they come to these shows, mate. I know, and I know what they order, because it used to be my job to keep an eye on them. So these people have got free gratis, haven't they? When is it all going to stop, this free gratis? When's it going to stop? When they're going to put it back into the sport? Eh?
Mate.
All these trainers working for nothing, amateurs, right? And we've got these teching out at sport. Look at Russ Gerrard from West Ham. How's it going? That's knocking banded. Stu Curry, Joe Gallagher. He never got knocked for years in amateurs, didn't he? All these amateur trainers, you know, Haroon, the kid from Manchester, Haroon Medley, is it? Or I forgot his name, the Manchester trainer. All these kids that are putting the time in, Nick Manners, Lee Merter, Mick Whale, everybody, Josh Whale. Nobody's taking anything, but these lot have been taking years, haven't they? When's it all going to stop, Terry? When?
Never, mate. The thing about gravy trains, Russ, is they have no destination. They just keep on going.
Yeah, mate. When's it going to stop?
When you take over us, that's what we need. We need you to just take over.
If somebody wants to get a new organisational body going, and I'll govern it with you, and I'll make sure that it's all dished out evenly. Me, Big P. But Dylan White, where's he now with all this, Terry? Where's he in all this mess with heavyweight division? Because he's been beefing with Tyson Fury, big fighting man that don't fight, last few days on Twitter. So what's happening? What's happening with him, Dylan White? What do you think?
He'll be on to his next pay-per-view, right?
His 7th pay-per-view.
Yeah. Probably a rematch with Parker. I can see that happening at some point.
Can you?
Unfortunately.
I would want to see that with Parker. Yeah, Eddie Hearn said it's done, didn't he, that deal yesterday on IFL? Parker Chisora, he said it's a done deal. So,
oh, God.
I know, yeah, but will that be on Matchroom, DAZN or Matchroom Sky? Because Eddie's going, isn't he?
Probably Sky.
I won't put it past him staying at Sky, you know. I won't put it past him and having best of both worlds. I'm telling you now, working something out where that Sky still work with Matchroom. I wouldn't put it past him. So I think there's a twist in the plot So watch this space and then come and say, Porky! Okay, Porky, you was right. But we're going to see, aren't we? Because the plot thickens. But I think that's about it, really. I had a bit of bad news day before yesterday. Got a text off EasyJet. Put me back while August now for my teeth. Turkey. Can't go to Turkey. Need them doing, don't I?
Yeah.
I've got 95 days to wait. That's third knockback now. It can't get any worse, this pandemic, can it?
Yeah, I can understand.
But I hope you're all right. I'm going to do a Boyako shoulder workout now, Terry, gym next door. Remember him, Boyako?
Yeah, do you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me like if you'd been around in the 70s, that would have been you.
The golden generation.
Yeah.
But it'll give me something to do, won't it? In between messing about in here and just drinking loads of Costa coffee. We get Costa, the pack Costa coffee now, don't they? And I'm I was saying, I'm not drinking that. I don't like cold coffee, but it's all right. And do you know what, Terry? It tastes fantastic when it's free. They've got it under lock and key though, and now I like it. I don't like Coca-Cola, do I? Though fizzy drinks and that, but I like that kind of stuff. It's easy digesting on my dicky tummy, innit? But what you got planned for the rest of the day?
Just we've got work to finish off and that, and then it's the weekend, so we'll see.
It's the weekend. It's time to party. Friday, isn't it, Terry? Thank Crunchy, it's Friday. Do you know what I used to do when I was fat as a pig Michelin man? I used to live in Oakley in a penthouse. This is a true story. All I did was eat all day and lay in bed on boxingscene.com. I never spoke to anybody for 2 years. Bloke like a bloom, put about 13 stone on. All I used to do was eat crunches. And do you know where I put most of my weight on? Somebody said, why don't you tell this story? I'm going to tell it now. I used to live at Brook Court in DN9 3FM. On Bridge, where runways for airport and trains used to go by. It was beautiful. I didn't own it, but I lived there a few years. Somebody sold me 1,048 Rice Krispie. You know, but they're like made of, is it syrup? They're like a biscuit thing, cereal bar. I had over 1,000 of them. And somebody, I was selling them on to somebody anyway. He said, I don't want them. And I was gnawing away at them for about a month. Or maybe 6 weeks. I was doing about 20 of them a day. With methadone as well. So I went there to do my detox, didn't I? So I'm on methadone, 100 ml of methadone. I've got all these Rice Krispie things. So I get up in the morning, 4 slices of toast, loads of thick butter, bacon on it, big jug of milk, big jug of orange. And then I'd go on internet. I had no to do. Because I'd obviously resigned myself to doing this, getting off this methadone. So methadone's inside me, innit? 8,000 calories. Then you've got big breakfast. Then you've got the Rice Krispie things. So if you want to put weight on, get them Rice Krispies down you because they're gorgeous. But you become addicted to sugar. So I became addicted to sugar. So I blow up like a balloon. Then I had a gastric to sort myself out. But yeah, people say, did you get from 14 stone to 28? Well, that now you know. So people get saying, Porky, how did you get that fat? Were you greedy? No, not really. I just didn't exercise. Laid in bed all day, monged out on my medication, eating Rice Krispie squares. And every time I go to shop and I see them, I move by quick because they're very, very addictive. And after that, I became addicted to Fanta. I was doing 3 litres of Fanta a day. I just needed that sugar fix. And now, obviously, I don't have that problem now, do I? But so I'm one of them people that get addicted. A bit like with this channel, innit? You become addicted to stuff, don't I? I've got an addictive personality. I've done it all, haven't I? Drugs, sugar, gambling. What's the other one? Boxing, hardcore stuff. Driving after. You know what I'm like at driving. I'm not happy unless I'm doing 150. Yeah. So I've got an addictive personality. This is why, Eddie Earn, I'm going to ruin you. So the gentleman that keeps saying, Porky, I've seen a picture of you and Carl Froch. You look like Honey Monster. You've seen that picture, haven't you? There's me there on my birthday up at Ellaby Hall. There's Carl Froch next to me like that. He looked like I look like Alexis Arguello next to me, you know, like the explosive thin man. He's there with his big beak, and there's me there like that. With Giacomo jumper on, I'm like that, fat as a pig Michelin man. And now look at me, I only need to lose another stone and I'll be sparring Cobra. So, Carl, you need to keep your word, but don't hit me right body. Just punch me in the head, mate. Try and knock some sense into me, but I want headgear on. So, yeah, I just thought I'd let people know how I piled all that weight on, because he want Chinese food, if that's what you think he want. Rice Krispie Squares. And I've only told that story to one person, the big lad who came up to Mickey's the other night to see me and Mickey Theo, Shane from Hull. I've only told him that story. Obviously, my kid's mum knows it, and obviously I've spread it on here now. So, Rice Krispie Squares, they are addictive, but they're nice, aren't they? With a big jug of whole milk. You know, I just like to sit down, watch Sky Boxing, big jug of whole milk, Rice Krispie Squares, and no friends. So I don't have to share them. But them days are gone, aren't they? Now I just sit there with a banana milkshake. Oh my God. You like that story, Terry?
Man, that's what we expect from the voice of hardcore boxing. That's why we tune in.
The Rice Krispie Square man. Right. Well, listen, I'll let you get off, Terry, because we've had an hour and 20 minutes, or roughly about that time.
No, mate.
What a good old do today. I'm going to get this out today, straight away, 1 o'clock, Terry. If I get me thumbnail from Jab Apparel, Johnny Owen, send me that thumbnail. Chop. All right, you take care, Terry. Have a great week. Take care. Did you get your Lacoste trainers off Rico?
I haven't seen them yet, but I'm going to see him in the next few weeks, and then we'll sort it out then.
Rico's been strutting about Croydon in his.
Yeah, he's killing it.
He's killing it. It should be all money he's earning. And you Southerners, piling money up down there and buying houses. Piling the money up, eh?
If only, man. I'm going to go back down the mines next week.
Coal mines.
Yeah.
Down Denby Pit.
Yeah, man.
No problem. Well, listen, you take care, Terry.
Thanks
for coming on.
No worries, mate. Take care.
Peace out, mate. Bye. Well, that were Terry Chap from London. Bit of a funny story, that one, Rice Krispie story. Bit cringy in it, but yeah, that's a true story. I ate all of them. If you work that out over 40 odd days, that's like 25 of them a day, isn't it? 25 a day. Let's get popping them down like Smarties. Like I used to pop ecstasy in 90s. Mitsubishis. So that's about it, really. I'm going to get Kent back on, I think, at some point in the next few days. Carl Wright, I'm going to get him on. Simon Thompson. Thank you to Simon for running Porky's Corner Facebook. There's a Porky's Corner _1 Instagram. I don't have anything to do with them channels, and I won't be replying on them, but Simon deals with the Facebook, and Craig, I think Craig's from Coventry, I'm not sure. He's got a gym down there. They help me out behind the scenes with social media and sharing the stuff. So I want to thank them lads very much for helping me. I'm pulled out with this all time, this channel. So I haven't got the patience to deal with all that. So I have enough dealing with WhatsApp because I'm not tech-minded. So that's about it. I think that Costa coffee's gone to my head now because I'm getting giddy. I'm knocking on bandy. So, all right. So peace out. Keep on trucking. Keep sporting boxing. Thanks for liking and subscribing, leaving a comment. I'm going to try and figure it out now to get how many subscribers we've got onto the channel. So, Cameron, can you let me know how we do it? Because there's a lot of stuff I don't know how to work. I couldn't even get into my emails this morning because I am thick. All right, so it's 11:30 on a Friday. So let's see how quick I can get this video out. But it won't go out till I've got a thumbnail. In fact, if I don't get the thumbnail before, as soon as this is uploaded, I'll put a Rice Krispie Squares thumbnail up, for a bit of a laugh at myself. But I can assure you, I weren't laughing when I went to watch Liverpool versus Stoke with my mate Pete. I'm walking up to Anfield, I had to sit on a wall like that. My mate says, God, you need to get that band. I says, need some. So anyway, but that's a long time ago now, isn't it? Decade ago. All right. So peace out.